Hi, my name is Linda Gruen. I'm a MAGA Republican, and I'm opposed to American military involvement in Ukraine. This is my response to President Biden's speech dated November 2nd, 2022. I'll be reading from my notes. All right, President Biden. Let's see. So you started with that incident with Paul Pelosi being attacked. I'm glad Mr. Pelosi survived. I think that's very unfortunate what happened. But, honestly, his assailant, from what I gather, I don't think he's a MAGA Republican. He seems to be some individual with some sort of mental health problem. So I hope that you all get him the support that he needs. With regards to your reference to the Pence gallows, yes, there was a gallows at January 6th. Yes, I guess people probably did say some remarks regarding Pence, probably because they were pretty angry. But with regards to the gallows, it had a sign right on it that said, "This is art." It was an effigy. It was satirizing the political situation and satirizing our understanding of modern art. You failed to provide the full context in your speech. Now, with regards to the harassment of election officials, that's happened both ways. So it is what it is. Now, you talk about us having free and fair elections. Well, the problem with the 2020 presidential election, there are a couple problems. First of all, your supporters within the FBI, Facebook, and Twitter suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story. Yes, Facebook and Twitter are private platforms. However, they are used by a lot of people. A lot of people rely on them to pass information on to them. And so it's still essentially suppressed a free press in this country and suppressed information that is believed to have impacted the outcome of the presidential election. So essentially, the supporters of yours in the FBI, combined with your supporters at Facebook and Twitter, essentially interfered with the election that got you elected, and their interference may have actually led to you getting elected. Now, with regards to the court cases related to the 2020 presidential election that got you elected, you fail to acknowledge that court cases can only rely on admissible evidence. So any evidence that may still be credible, but legally speaking is inadmissible, or that's being withheld, would not go into the court cases. For example, the proprietary code of the Dominion voting machines. So to say that there was no election fraud, you cannot fully prove that. So please stop saying that it's been proven. You can't prove it because there is evidence or documentation that cannot be admitted to court cases. Now, you talk about us having freedom in this country. As a white conservative here in this country, I have faced discrimination for being white and for being conservative since I was a child. And with that has come a sense of, what do I say? It's long been an issue of suppression of my views, like censorship, but then also with that has come a sense of prejudice because we weren't allowed to fully share our views, and that prejudice has sometimes, in some areas, has gotten into the realm of hostility. In the case of my own family, that anti-conservative hostility has driven my family out of two communities. One of them in 1992, Montgomery County, Maryland. We moved from a community over there to a more conservative part of Fairfax County, Virginia. That's where I grew up. We moved when I was 10, and then also Loudoun County, Virginia. That was much more recent. That was, I think, what was it now, 2021, I believe. But each case, those were, kind of harder core leftists who intimidated my family, to the point that we felt that we could not speak up, that we really just, that we weren't genuinely welcome to be a part of the community. That's how severe the hostility became, the intimidation. So we left. And frankly, I'm glad that we have. But that's something that I learned even as a child that we conservatives have to do. For us, it's not exactly an issue of what you call white flight. It's actually conservative flight for families like us. It's for the sake of preserving our culture, preserving our values, because they're not permitted, not legitimately permitted, not legitimately respected or valued in a leftist-controlled community. So, so it's left conservatives like me with this sense of we're not genuinely free in this country, and frankly, we haven't been. If I want to be free, then I need to leave for another country. That's where I have found a greater sense of freedom, because in some other countries, I was not treated as a second-class citizen, unlike here. So anyway, the voter intimidation, I mean, yeah, my family has definitely experienced intimidation from your followers, definitely. To a degree, it goes both ways. And I would say also your harsh rhetoric, that I have personally found to be very intimidating. So first of all, of course, I am white. I don't support the Black Lives Matter movement. Because frankly, it's offensive to me because of the anti-white racial discrimination that my family has personally been subjected to, like 3 generations in my family, my mother, myself, and even my daughter, which your administration was a part of, by the way, in Loudoun County, when I submitted my formal civil rights complaint against Loudoun County Public Schools. But anyway, so, you refer to Americans like me as domestic terrorists or white supremacists or traitors or whatever, and it's offensive and intimidating to Americans like me because you're in a position of substantial authority. You pass executive orders that sometimes harm us personally. And it's not just for being white, it's for, your rhetoric against us MAGA Republicans has been absolutely appalling. You've been working very hard to promote anti-MAGA hate, which I really don't appreciate. But basically you've been trying to stir up American society against Americans like me. So it's really this sense of you're working on driving Americans like me out of this country. And I really don't appreciate that. So it has definitely felt like a form of intimidation. Also with regards to the COVID vaccines, I could not take the COVID vaccines for religious reasons. You did not respect that for the most part. I mean, on some technical issues, sometimes yes, but mostly your harsh rhetoric emboldened employers to subject Americans like me to a hostile work environment that discouraged us from seeking employment if we were looking, and also led to many of us resigning early and or retiring early. So your intimidation against us has been very real for us. So, and that's in addition to the intimidation that we faced through the Black Lives Matter fringe riots that were often in areas controlled either locally or at the state level or both by your fellow Democrats. Did they rein in the people? Did they arrest folks who were burning buildings, who were looting, who were intimidating locals? I don't know of anyone who got arrested from that. Maybe there were a few, I don't know. So it sent a pretty strong message of intimidation to Americans like me, definitely. The same with the mobs attacking, no, I shouldn't say attacking, I mean intimidating white outdoor diners. We lived in Loudoun County at the time. That happened in some part of Washington, D.C. So for white Americans like me who disagreed with the Black Lives Matter message, if that had been me, it would have definitely caused me emotional distress, and I would have felt pressured into essentially compelled speech through intimidation. See, your people do this, but you don't hold them accountable. I mean, even if, say, like, you come out and you condemn those sort of behaviors, you don't arrest these people. You arrest our people. And you vilify all of us. You paint all of us with the same brush. My family, my parents and I, we're MAGA Republicans. Not a one of us was at the January 6th protests. None of us were. Okay? Arrest the people who violated the law. Okay? We're okay with you arresting Trump if you have grounds for doing so. Not a problem. MAGA is a conservative self-determination movement. It's not just about former President Trump. Okay? You talk about democracy being at stake, but honestly, conservatives like me, we have been facing anti-conservative discrimination and hostility from hardcore leftists in this country for in excess of 30 years. Your people had all this time to work things out with us, and they made the choice instead to silence us and intimidate us and just, drive us out of their communities. That was a choice. And so we are where we are today.